Good. Chico?
Okay. Well, hi everyone. This is Margaret Farag with Margaret Farag and Associates. This is Amy Larson, and a financial advisor, and we came on here today so that we can talk to you about a little bit of financial advising. And are you ready to buy a home? Should you buy a home? Is it really the best next move for you?
Hi guys, I'm Amy Larson Mendoza. I'm an attorney and financial advisor, and I'm super excited to talk with Margaret today to just kind of share some ideas with you guys about what's happening in the real estate market right now, what's happening in the financial markets right now, and then what advice can we give to you guys to kind of help you navigate those markets right now.
So in regards to the real estate market right now, it is crazy. I'm sure you guys have all already heard that. So obviously, interest rates are ticking up a little bit. They just went up a little more yesterday. But we are seeing more properties coming back on the market, even though our inventory is still low. However, we're still getting above asking. We're still selling in about 10 days or less. I've been seeing that happening a lot lately in the past couple weeks. So that's been pretty amazing. In regards to the financial market.
Yeah, the financial market's been pretty volatile. It's been volatile really throughout COVID. We had a very good nearly 12-year run, and then in the last few years it's been really up and down. This year to date, consistently down. And so Margaret and I were kind of speaking and just trying to figure out how we could best serve our clients and really guiding them through this difficult time. And I can't tell you guys how many times, nearly every appointment that I'm sitting down with, people are asking me, is now a good time to buy? Should I be saving my money? Should I be, buying now? What do you think is going to happen? And I can tell you, in terms of the financial market, we're already, statistically speaking, numerically speaking, in a recession. Most advisors, or most people who study the financial markets, believe that that's going to continue, and if not, to get worse. And so really that's a unique time, right? So we have in the real estate market interest rates higher than they've been recently, but still at a general low compared to historically speaking. We have a limited market, a very small, at least here in Southern California, and I know throughout the country that might be different, but here in Southern California, still relatively low inventory when it comes to real estate, combined with just general discontent in the financial market. And so that's why we wanted to go live today, to really just share with you guys, answer any questions you might have about how to navigate this unique time in both the real estate and financial markets.
So Amy, if I were to want to prepare to buy right now from a financial standpoint, what would your tips be for somebody who they're looking to buy their first home, they have a career, and what would you say financially the next steps are?
So I always say the main thing is going to be to budget. We're always going to start at budgeting. So figuring out, running the numbers, kind of making educated plans for what that would look like.
Okay.
And so there's going to be two things that we always look at when we're buying. And number one is obviously going to be the down payment. There's a lot of conversations going on about that. And the second is going to be, once we get into the home, what is that going to look like on a monthly basis? And so if I'm prepping someone to buy, I want to look at both of those things. I want to make sure that someone's not getting, stretching, barely getting into the house. They get into the house and then
I can make my payment.
Totally.
I don't know about groceries.
But I can't eat, right? We got to sell one of the kids. Yeah, we don't want that. And so we want to make sure that they're, we're getting them into a home, but also that if the market continues to be tumultuous, that they're going to be able to continue making their payments. Whatever we do, we want to avoid another 2008 in the real estate and financial markets.
And in regards to the real estate side, I would always tell you one of the first steps in order to buying a home is you got to meet with the lender, because the lender is going to tell you how much you can buy, what your monthly payment is going to be, and you can kind of figure out the numbers and be comfortable before I get to take you out to go look at property. And prior to even taking you out to look at property, it's always very important for us to kind of go over your pros, your cons, what you must have in the house, what you don't really care to have, but it would be nice. Because the more information I have, the better I can serve you and find you the perfect home that's going to fit your needs and your family's needs. So that's definitely going to be the most important thing. Those are like your first three most important steps. You want to meet with your lender, figure out the numbers. You want to meet with your agent, definitely a local expert like me, who can go over some of the pros and cons. And then after that, we get to kind of go out and go shopping.
Yes, one of our favorite things, right?
Yes, we like to go
to shop,
shopping.
especially for houses. What would you say, Margaret, would be, I get a lot of questions of, do you think I'm a good buyer? Do you think now's a good time for me to buy? What do you think is the ideal buyer right now in this market in terms of real estate?
So it depends a little bit. Every buyer is a little bit different. I will say, like, don't let the interest rates scare you. One thing that we kind of say a lot is you buy real estate and you wait. You don't wait to buy real estate because it just tends to go up. Even in a market where, like right now, some of the prices are, let's just say, 15 to 20,000 less than what they were before. That sounds great, but by the time all the offers come in, you end up selling for more than what it was before. So you want to buy your real estate and hang on to it. If you're in a financial position to where you've got the means to put a down payment and get into a home and you can comfortably afford your mortgage, or your mortgage is going to be just about as much as you're paying for rent, with as expensive as that is right now, then it would definitely be a great time for you to buy. And that all just comes down to everyone's individual needs. And I also get the biggest question also, in regards to that is, well, what about the interest rates being so high? Like, do I really want to buy that right now? And it's like, okay, well, let's go with both scenarios. If the interest rates, let's just say, are going to go up, and you bought the house today, well, then you're locked in at a lower rate than if they were to go up. But let's just say interest rates drop. Next year's an election year, so people seem to assume it might drop. Okay, great. Well, you already have the home, so, marry the house, take the rate. You already have the home you want. But now you're going to go ahead and refinance, and you don't have to refinance and pay an obscene amount of fees and take out all of your money. No, there's you can do like a rate and term refinance to where you're literally just going to reduce your payment with the lower interest rate. So it puts you in a position where you're kind of in a win-win. If they go up, you're locked in at a lower rate. If they go down, you can refinance and you can get into that lower rate. And those are some of the, those are your buyers that should really be considering, whether you're a first-time home buyer or, this is going to be your second or third home. You definitely just want to kind of just go over, can I afford it? Do I have the down payment? And then, of course, we have buyers who don't have the down payment, and there's a lot of government programs for that. And if you want more information on that, everyone, it's a case-by-case situation. But they've come out with probably 3 new programs this year alone. So if that's something that benefits a first-time buyer, then that's definitely something that you can connect with your lender or your local realtor to go over those with you.
Yeah, good stuff. One question that I had, especially I was just speaking with my adult daughter the other day. She's about 22, working full-time, in a relationship. He works full-time, and they're trying to rent right now here in Southern California and just at a loss. Like, where do we even rent from? And so their conclusion was, let's buy. And I'm like, okay, well, let's get you ready to buy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what would your advice be to someone that's, new to the market, maybe new to potentially buying? How would you kind of guide them in this process, or what advice would you have for them?
My best advice for them would be, let's go ahead and take a look at possibly new builds. The reason why I say that is because there's a lot of incentives that they give you. Every builder is different, of course, but there are incentives. I actually have family members who are looking to buy right now, and that was a path that we took for them. We went to a new builder. And so, yes, you have to have at least 3.5% down, which, depending on the price point of the home, could be, let's just say, approximately somewhere between $20,000 to $25,000 if you're buying a starter home, correct? Well, with the incentives, then you don't have to worry about closing costs necessarily, or maybe they can help you buy down your rate, so now your monthly payment would be less. So if you're a first-time buyer and that's something that you're looking into, and that's the down payment you have, but you don't want to worry about all the extra fees because, well, we got to furnish the house too, right? Then that's definitely an option as well. Another option is, I know parents, you're not going to like me right now, but sometimes you got to lean on them and be like, hey, will you co-sign for me? Or can we buy this as a partnership, and then when prices go up, kind of come up with a plan with your family as well. That's always an option too.
Yeah, that's kind of what the conclusion was we kind of come to, so I appreciate all your insight. What would your advice be for someone who is maybe a real estate investor? So I get that question a lot too.
Okay.
Here in Southern California, I feel like that's the hot thing, right, to be a real estate investor. So what would your advice be to real estate investors right now?
Honestly, for investors, most of them are kind of waiting a little bit right now in this market, just because, we've got the interest rates are high, and by the time the prices are high. I would say if you're an investor looking to buy something, definitely look more into your probate options, and possibly even homes that are divorce sales, because a lot of times those homes are a little more run down and they need some work, especially your probates, or if an elderly has passed. Most of those homes need some repairs, and so that'd probably be a great path for an investor.
Awesome, good stuff. A couple of other things that we wanted to talk about just as we were preparing for this live is, what are the concerns financially after the buy, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is something that we've been really talking about in partnership together, trying to figure out how can we best be of service to our clients, and what are the loopholes that we're seeing a lot of people miss, and we really came up with a couple. The first being is budgeting, and I think we kind of talked about that. How are you preparing that once you've got into the house, right? Once you've got the house and you have to get the furniture or whatever, obviously you need a place to sleep at night. But furnishing the house, moving into that first accommodation of really settling in, how are you budgeting? And so that's super important, of course, is how are you preparing that budget? But there were two other things that we really wanted to talk about today, and one was life insurance. Is just how can life insurance be used, and how important is that right now? And what I imagine you're seeing a lot of, I know I am in my clients, is people with together. Two or even more people to pay a mortgage on a house. And so with that, one of the things that we were talking about is just the importance of having life insurance on anyone who is going to be financially responsible for contributing to the home. So that might be spouses, it might be intergenerations, it might be friends at this point, right? We're gonna build a mom compound, whatever that might be. It's just making sure that there is insurance in place so that if, God forbid, one of the people who's contributing passes away, that there's a plan in place to pay off the home, and that's super important. And so there's all different kinds of products that can be used to do that. Obviously, the least expensive, the most affordable is going to be term insurance.
Okay.
Usually I'm going to recommend that for the duration of the mortgage, right? So let's say you get a 30-year loan, let's get you a 30-year term so that if, God forbid, one of the people who's responsible for paying the mortgage were to pass, that home is paid off, right? And so we're not seeing the grief compounded by financial loss, financial problems.
So does that mean that I would have a policy just for my house, or you would kind of find out how much the house is worth and then we would go for a bigger policy to cover that? Because I would imagine that somebody would want to also leave something for their family, not just pay off the house.
Yeah, I see both.
Okay.
When I'm sitting down with someone, I kind of do a customized game plan specifically for them. When we're looking specifically at life insurance, the first thing we look at is going to be the mortgage, and then we're going to look at things like final expenses, education funding if they have children. We'll look at other debts they might have, right? We're starting to see a lot of credit card debt and things like that. We'll look at income replacement. And so we're looking at kind of all of those. It just depends on the person. So, I'll give you an example. We're in the process of adopting right now. Thank you, super excited. This is the month it's going to be final. As soon as she moved in, I was like, I think we're going to need some more life insurance on the husband, right? She was 8. I'm like, let's get a 10-year term, right? I have a client right now who is a real estate investor. Every property he buys, he then purchases a life insurance policy to go with that specific property for the duration of the mortgage. And so the reason for that being that part of his vision, part of his plan is like, hey, if I pass away, I want these properties to go to my kids. I want them to be paid off so that they're living on the rental income, right? So there's lots of different things that we can do. Go ahead.
I want to touch on that a little bit. So you're saying that, he wants them to be able to go to his kids. So I'm assuming that means he's gotten some sort of estate planning or trust with you, right? Because I know a lot of people seem to think that if they pass, the house will just go to their kids and they don't have to deal with probate and they don't have to deal with the system. But I don't think it quite works that way.
No, if only, right? If only it worked that way. It definitely does not work that way, especially in California. The probate fees are significant. This is why you're seeing people who do, work so hard, buy property, have homes, pay them off even,
Yes.
and then thinking that that's going to automatically pass to their kids and not understanding the actual process. So if a person passes away without a trust, including a will, but if they pass away without a trust, then their estate, meaning their property, their money, their assets, whatever they have, is going to go through probate. And probate fees are going to be assessed. There's going to be estate fees, there's going to be attorney's fees, and there's going to be trustee fees. And so when those probate fees are attached, this is when you're seeing people have to take out a mortgage on a home that's paid off.
Yes.
Because they're having to pay off those fees. And so you see that a lot. And so my advice always is for when someone has a home that they should have a trust. It's funny that you mentioned that specifically with that client, because that client owns about 10 residential properties here in Southern California, as well as commercial properties. And so we're actually putting together a very comprehensive estate plan where he can even say, okay, these properties are meant to be for income.
Okay.
So they're properties that will be paid off if he were to pass away. Through life insurance is the mode for that. So those would be paid off, and then the rental income is going to be divided among his kids.
Okay.
So not only, has he created a real legacy for his kids, he's also taught his kids his mindset, right?
Right.
That I don't want these properties sold. These properties are to be income, not only for you, but for your kids, and
Right.
really just create something that I think as parents, we all want to leave
Yes.
our kids, maybe we just don't know how. And so, yes, I always recommend when someone buys a home, this is a major life change,
Yes.
that they do a financial plan with a licensed advisor where they are looking at these things. Do I need to reevaluate my life insurance? Do I need to reevaluate my estate planning? And always, if they have minor children or a home, I'm going to say get a trust done. It's going to save so much in headache, so much in taxes, so much in fees, and let's make sure that all of our hard work is paying off, right?
Right.
Is being left the way that we want to, the way that we intend, and the
Correct.
vehicle for that's a trust. So that's super important for anyone who has bought or is in the process of buying, to make sure that's set up.
Okay, that's awesome to know. Well, should we tell them about our Zoom?
I think we should.
Okay, so I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, and we actually have a couple more things we'd like to cover. Like, for example, I'd like to tell you why your 18-year-old should buy a house, and I would love to tell you why, if you really hate your house but you just feel stuck because of the rate, and she wants to go into
all kinds of stuff. I for sure want to talk about budgeting and just really figuring out how to make your budget work for you. I think so many people think of budget as a negative thing. I like to think of a budget as an empowering thing,
Yes,
right? This
absolutely.
is how we accomplish our goals.
Yes.
If we want to buy rental income or rental property, if we want to have, a certain lifestyle for our children, a certain lifestyle for ourselves, how do we make that happen? And what are the numbers so that we can live the life that we want to live without the stress?
Right, and I know budgeting might sound like restriction, but if you really think
No.
about it, budgeting is freedom. Because
Absolutely.
now you know that you're working towards what you want while you're budgeting, and you're also able to enjoy things. You just have to make maybe smaller or different decisions, but it's freedom. It's freedom to finally be able to see the light that this is where we want to go, and we definitely want to get into more of that for you guys.
Absolutely. I think it's freedom. It's also clarity, right? I feel like so many people don't make a decision, and in not making a decision, make a decision, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
they aren't acting intentionally with their money, and so they don't even realize how much they're spending. And I'll sit down with them and kind of go over their budget. And the most common example I can always use, I think all of us are a little guilty of this, is eating out. Yeah, Starbucks, the Starbucks habit. I'm like, okay, so how much do you spend eating out? And every time they're like, oh,
We don't want to talk about that.
They don't want to talk about it. Like, okay, well, let's kind of run through the numbers. Is it a daily number or a weekly number? And
Right.
just kind of fleshing through that. And I think that process in itself makes people realize, like, man, I really don't need to spend that much money. Like, do you know Starbucks tastes pretty good from home too, right? Like, I like to get my Starbucks cup. It's right over there right now. My Starbucks cup, had a water in it, and now it has coffee in it from my house. But it's because I know the difference that even that $20 a week can make.
Right.
When it's invested properly. And so I think, like, hey, I could spend this $20 a week on Starbucks, or $40 a week, no judgment, right? Whatever it is, Or I could take that $20 and $40 a week and I could put it towards my kid's education or towards her future.
Right.
Or for my older one, you know, like, hey, we're really looking at, is it as parents, you know, can we give her that gift of, hey, let's get you into a home so that you're not struggling financially, stressing out. She told us last week she's thinking about moving out of state, right? Just because of the finances, the reality of Southern California right now. And so I think as parents, you know, that if we're really being serious about our budget, we can accomplish a lot of things that we want to do, but maybe we don't even know. Can we do that?
I know I'm a parent, and if my kid were to tell me they wanted to move out of state, my heart would drop. So I'd rather budget and be able to help them buy a house and keep them next to me.
100%. Well, maybe down the street a little bit, right? Depending on the kid. Yeah, so we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk a little bit more about the details of life insurance, different ways that life insurance can be structured to either pay off mortgage or even for real estate investors. There's all kinds of products that can be used for that, so we'll talk about that. And just talk about how to plan for our future and whatever that entails for us.
So we would love to see you back on Thursday, May 11th, next week at 7 p.m. We're going to do a live Zoom event, so it's easy for you to, you know, go ahead and attend it. And we will definitely go over, like we said, all those questions that you may have and a little bit more detail about the topics that we want to cover. Make sure we fully answer those questions for you guys.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be 7 p.m. Pacific. We will be on Zoom. We'll also probably be shooting it live to Instagram, Facebook, and maybe TikTok. We'll see how we figure that one out. Well, no promises on that. But if you're interested in attending, comment below for the link, and we'll make sure that you guys get the link. And if you have questions or comments, topics that you would like to see us address, put it in the comments below. We'll make sure that we review them, that we include them in our presentation, and we'll even give you guys the opportunity for Q&A at the end of our session on Thursday. And so thank you so much, Margaret. I'm excited. I'm excited for this partnership. I'm excited really to bring you guys value and to really give you guys some insight into the conversations that we're having as professionals to really serve our clients and put our clients in the best position possible with other people who are like-minded, who have the best interests of their clients at heart. And so we're super excited.
We are definitely excited. We are definitely going to see you guys Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, the 11th, next week. Don't forget.
All right, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
So when we share these right now, oh, you're still on.
Oh.